Thanks.
Everyone, welcome back. I am here with Sarah McGrath-Deneau, as you know, and we have Dana on today. We're so excited. She is a content creator and copywriter. And yeah, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit further?
Hi, yes, thank you so much, Morgan, and also thank you, Sarah. So, as Morgan said, I'm a writer and content creator. I actually have a website, but then mostly I help entrepreneurs and small businesses over social media.
Wonderful. Awesome.
And hi, Dana. So how did you get started in what you do?
Well, it started as a passion in writing. Basically, ever since I was young, I love to write poetries and creative articles. So whenever I have a chance to get into school publication or any other um, magazine that I could actually submit articles to, and then when I was a few years ago, when I was actually working um, way back on the BPO industry, I have some few time or extra time that I I wanted to see if I could really monetize this love for writing. So that's basically how it started. And then little by little, some projects came in, and yeah, well, actually, the universe is actually kind to let me um, be on this right path on where I can do what I love.
Oh, that's awesome.
I love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
So, in terms of becoming like an entrepreneur, what were some of the, you know, what were some of the harder things that you had to encounter, like to push through to get to where you are now?
That is actually a good question. Um, it's not really an easy pill to swallow, going full time or even part time as an entrepreneur. And maybe one of the first obstacles we will or I have encountered is financial stability, because on the first few months, even on the first year, the clients are not that um, they're not that steady yet, and mostly the projects are per contract. So if example for us that we had regular jobs before, so it's kind of unsettling
Mm.
and also exciting because there will be months stretch that there are no incomes. So that's the first one, and the second would be finding your own brand or maybe finding your own voice. Since entrepreneurship is a very wide industry, even in writing, there's so many. There's copywriting, academic writing. So you will really need to um, get a feel on which um, segment do you thrive the most. So I guess those two things are the challenges.
Yeah, so kind of like niching down is really difficult and like having yourself stand out next to all the others, right?
Yes, yes, true.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've all had to face that. What about you, Sarah?
Yeah, because you wanna help everyone, um,
Mm.
and so it's hard to just say, oh, I'm gonna choose to just help these people do this thing. But I mean, really, everyone knows if you're helping a certain group, really, you're helping everyone, and we all have our part. But it's just, yeah, making that initial decision of, all right, I'm gonna put my momentum here. It can be tough.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Dana, do you have any tips for yourself when you first started thinking back in 2015, was it you said?
Yes.
5 years ago when you first started thinking about, oh, maybe I can make my passion into a business. What now looking back, what tips would you have for yourself starting that journey?
Well, that is a lovely question because one of the first tips that I will give myself will be to not be afraid to show what you have. Um, because usually when starting, I have doubted myself, my skills,
Mm.
um, so much, and I was actually comparing myself to others who are already have a foot in the industry. So I was just adding more pressure and more worries, which is really, really not good when you are starting a business or any project. So yeah, that will be one of those. To not be afraid to show yourself out there, um, to not compare yourself with others, and one of the tips that I will add is to always have a backup plan because with starting your own business or going freelance, uh, there are a lot of things that are actually unpredictable. So sometimes you'll find that you are already on your plan D, and still you have to be dynamic and change if you see that something's not working. So you have to adapt quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I hope I answered the question correctly.
Oh, absolutely. There's no correct answer. Yeah. So yeah, you brought up a really good point in that last tip, which is being able to pivot,
Mhm.
and that's a big
Yeah.
term in entrepreneurship, is being able to adapt to the needs of your audience and what you see your clients are needing from you.
Mhm.
It's a very good point.
As a
Thank you.
content creator and a copywriter, do you have any like advice for entrepreneurs who are creating content?
Well, for content creators, the common advice that I actually have learned
Mm.
um, from those who were before me, and I am also applying it, is to be consistent,
Yeah.
which is what I really love in your show because I can see the consistency on the videos that you are making. Yeah, the consistency and to not sacrifice information or value uh, for entertainment because I've seen a lot of other content creators right now because of the competition in the market,
Mm.
and in order to stand out, they are just doing anything that they think would catch the attention, but is really not giving information or value to others, especially to their market. Um, and and a third one would be always learn anything and everything that you can learn, even if it's not directly within your industry or within your niche. It's still better to learn because what you know can also share that with others, which makes you and your contents more valuable.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good point.
So, Dana, we like to talk about energy on this show we have. So, can you talk
Nice.
to us a bit about how it's like managing your own energy as it relates to writing and your content creation and your work as an entrepreneur or just existing. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to quite phrase this question, but yeah, how does your energy come into play with the work that you do?
I actually love that question. Maybe I'm going to answer that in two parts. Well, in terms of the energy that I use or that comes into play whenever I write, it's something it's something that does not just come into emotion. Usually, when we write, it's fueled or it's driven by the current emotion or feeling that we have. But then, if you if you pause for a moment and then you would try to like reflect on that emotion, you will see that you will be able to give more depth or more soul to the written articles or the written works that you will have. Um, and in terms of the energy in relation to my entrepreneurial aspect, I believe that is a bit more changing, a bit more dynamic. I'm still trying to uh, have a more stable aura, for the lack of a better word, on my entrepreneurial journey because as of now, it is still easily influenced by some factors, some external factors that I may not really want it to influence as of the meantime. So I'm still trying to calm it and tone it down.
Out of curiosity, and only share if you feel comfortable, but what are some of those
Sure.
external factors that are causing your business to be more unstable?
That is a good question. For one would be um, home matters or family matters. Uh, I believe I am more of the emotional type. So if there are personal problems or family problems,
Mm.
then it is actually affecting my mood to create and the projects that I take. And another one will be maybe pressure from society
Mm.
because there are actually content or ideas that I would like to actually express, although I sometimes feel that it is still not yet time or it may not be understandable by some of those in my market. So it's really giving me a dilemma in terms of that.
Mm. Yeah, like being careful about sharing things that may um, like turn away those who are in your niche. Is that what you're kind of saying? Yeah, I think
Yes,
that too. I know what you mean. Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, I don't think you're alone at all. And I think too, like you were talking about having emotions and how that can affect your work. And I think this is one of the, maybe Sarah can speak a little bit more, but one of the harder parts about being a creator for your job is that, our vessels, our bodies are like a big part of being able to create. And if they're being bogged down by negativity or outside influence, how are you supposed to work?
Right.
How do you show up?
Exactly, exactly.
So, Sarah, does that resonate with you? Like, what are some things that come up for you when you heard that?
Absolutely. My energy and my energy is very much, it can be affected by my external environment. I'm working on it to be less so, but it's inevitable. It's going to be, and that's a direct. The state of my energy has a direct correlation to the state of my activity in my business and my creating. Because if I'm not there, I'm not there. Like yesterday, I would have loved to have been productive, like do some tweaks on my website and answer some emails and things. But I just started working with an artist as an artist assistant, and yesterday I was using a bunch of like power tools and stuff that I haven't used my body to that extent in a while. So I came home and I was like, oh. So like my physical energy was totally drained. So like the rest of my energy said, just, I can't do this. But I'm becoming more accepting of, and Morgan brought this up before, sometimes you just need to not do anything, and that's going to be more productive than forcing yourself to do something when your body doesn't want to. That's anti-productive.
Yeah.
Anti-production.
And it's also not done to the like level of quality that you may want it to be as well. You may have to go back and do it. You may have to, completely, edit it or something. So sometimes it is just better. You kind of, when you just take the break that you need, like you rest, then you can get back to it quicker. But a lot of people try and push through. And when you do that, you're just like burning out. That's actually how burnout happens, is when you push through exhaustion.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is actually a very helpful advice. The last points that you and Sarah has said, yeah, it's very helpful.
Yeah, I think it's really important to talk about this connection between our energy and what we can produce and what that means. Like, how do you, if you have a deadline approaching, right, and you're exhausted or negative emotions, what do you do to like, do you like call your person and ask them to extend your deadline? Like, what is it? How do you like work your business around that?
Well, most of the time, if there is still like some few ample or some ample time, I would just meditate for a few minutes, and usually it calms me down. But if I am totally drained, physically or emotionally, I I actually sleep. I sleep for at least an hour or two, and then when I wake up, I'm actually rejuvenated already, and I can work it out. But if it's something major that's totally affecting me for days already, I am going to be honest with the client that if they could give me a day, a 2 day extension, and usually they agree with it. Thank God that they are very understanding.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it's so important to just get ahead and just ask for the deadline extension.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great thing for yourself that you do that. So I think it's so easy to just say, I have to do this, but no, you have to take care of yourself first. So yeah. Okay. So Dana, what would you say are the 3 best things and then the 3 worst things about being an entrepreneur?
Oh, well, the 3 best things would be I can do what I love. The first, that's the first thing that I love. Um, the second best thing will be I can uh, I can work anytime I want. I can work anywhere I want. So I have full control of, of of my time and my job. The third will be I can actually choose the people I work with, because with in a company or in a regular work, then you cannot really choose your boss or your coworkers. In freelancing, you can choose who you would like to collaborate with, who you feel you have a connection that you could do something great. You could do a great work together. So those will be the three things that I love the most, and the three things that um, are not so lovable in entrepreneurship would be the unpredictability of of everything. It's very unpredictable. Um, the first few months or maybe years, it will still be unstable. Uh, I would not like to put a rose-colored glass on new aspiring entrepreneurs. It will really be unstable the first few months or years. And the third one will be, I think, entrepreneurship is not going to be everyone's cup of tea, because at some point, either sooner or later, you will really need to pivot or reinvent yourself, reinvent what you offer. So for people who want something regular, want something fixed or constant, this might not really be a good thing for that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really important you bring that last point up, because for me, like a lot of sorry, to clear my throat. Something that oh sorry. Um, so as like I was in, management and starting a nonprofit in my last job before I became an entrepreneur. And something that I always thought was so interesting is everyone every year would be like, oh, we have to completely redo the website. And like my thought was always like, we have to redo the website every single year, guys. This is part of business now. Like you have to redo your website every 6 months. Everyone's like so annoyed by it, but it's like this is how it works. Websites change and upgrade all the time. You have to like constantly be updoing it. That's why you have website designers, because that's why they're always in business. So I think you really bring up a good point that, you constantly have to be upgrading, changing your services, making them better, improving, getting more niche or whatever. And that part of like you're creating your business all the time. You don't just like create it in 3 months and it's stagnant. It's constantly up leveling. And I think that that's one of the hardest things. I agree with you. I think it's one of the hardest things about being an entrepreneur, because once you finish something, you're like, oh, I have to like create something new again.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that's like the thing you love about it or the thing you hate about it, you choose. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why it's really important to make sure that you really love it.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, being an entrepreneur is you're going out there and doing your thing. Like it's all you. And so it's important for it to resonate with you and it be something that is almost self-sustaining, that energy within you, because you're so passionate about it.
So true.
Yeah.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. I have. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think we've covered a lot of the questions that I was thinking of asking. A lot of it's to do with adapting. And it seems you're very much on top of that in your business, and you're very flexible as you are, Dana.
Well, so what's like the biggest thing you've had to adapt in your business since you started out?
Yes.
Could you give us like an example, a tangible example?
Well, that would be a Well, that's actually a challenging question because I think until now, I am still in the ever process of evolving and reinventing. Because to be honest, when I first started, I thought that when you are a writer, it's like you just write, that I don't really have to be limited or be put on a one term like, oh, you're a web writer, so you just write for a website, or you're a creative writer, so you just write poetry and stories. Uh, I was like, until now, I'm still like, why can't I write everything? So
Mm.
um, I'm actually trying to find the words, the right words to describe it. I think maybe part of it is um, focus, and maybe realizing that I cannot do everything.
Yeah.
So I will have to choose one at a time. Maybe that's it.
Yeah, and I think because I actually coach some content writers myself, and one of the things that a lot of them talk about, and I think I apply to my business, is like, what do you want to become the best at? Like that's essentially what your niche is like what you're actually really, really good at. And I think that for writers especially, it's like, are you really good at SEO? Are you really good at content? Are you really good at website? Like, what is it you're super good at or you're super love, and then niche down to that. But that's a hard
Okay.
pill to swallow, as you said. Like, we want to be able to be everything. Like, I think that's
Yeah.
people pleaser in all of us. But like at the end of the day, you're not serving yourself or others when you can do everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's very helpful advice you just said. Thank you.
Oh no, like you gave me the words for it, so I appreciate it. And I don't think it's talked about enough how much as an entrepreneur you will have to adapt and change and pivot.
Mhm.
Like even me, like I'm looking at another pivot right now into the new year, and like a little bit of a change in the way my business is structured. And it's like scary in a way, but it's also feels
Yeah.
right. So it's kind of like you have to let the feel, if the feeling is right, but the fear is here, you still have to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The feelings
Okay, I will try that.
are gonna take the win over your mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
That
Yeah.
gut instinct, go for it.
Hmm.
Okay, I will.
So Dana, where do you envision your business being 5 years from now? What's the dream? What do you hope to accomplish?
Hmm. Um. Well, one of the things, or one of the dream that always enters my mind whenever I try to envision years from now would be, I would really want to have my own book, and it's it's actually not just a the regular story or novel book. I, I want something of like a fusion or something of a cross genre. I already have like a platform for it, something cross between poetry and storytelling.
Oh, wow.
So like a pioneer for that genre or of books, and I actually want to be um, a name that would be among those who are, those who are on top of their creative writing, uh, portfolios, and I just want to be among those who are on top of the creative writing industry.
That's awesome. I can't wait to read that book. You'll have to send us copies. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I will hopefully next year. Hopefully.
I love it.
Do you take time to work on your passion in writing separate from the work you produce for clients?
That is a very good question. Before, yes, to be honest, before COVID, I was doing that. I still have like the energy to have inspiration to continue on the dream that I am wanting to build, and then a different time and energy for those projects that I do for my clients. But then this year, I don't know, maybe it's because of what's happening, or maybe it's just I'm not that good in time management this year that I don't have any passionate uh, works
Mm,
recently. So I think I need to put that back by next year or as soon as possible.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Creation ebbs and flows too. We have to accept that, don't you feel? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're in it. Sometimes we're like, I need a break. So that makes sense.
Right.
Well, just before we end off, where can people find you if they want to work with you?
Oh, thank you. I actually have a site. It's it's a platform that is created for artists and creators like us who would want to showcase um, their creations, and it's called kofi.com. It's spelled as ko-fi.com, and my handle is /emotions.
Awesome. Okay, great. So we'll have all of that in the description and show notes, everyone, so you can find it there.
Yes. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Any last thoughts before we end off?
Well, first of all, thank you so much again to both of you. I really love talking about these things, and it's actually my first time to talk publicly with others about energy and creation and passion and how energy actually affects work. Because if I try to do that and talk about that with my friends and coworkers, then they won't really relate to it. So I am really happy that you gave me this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our pleasure. Thank you, Dana. It's so lovely to have you here with us today.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Good luck to. Thanks. Bye bye.